Hi guys, so I said on numerous occasions how there are two types of Brexit voters. There are the ones who voted for Brexit and then realised it was a mistake and have, come out and said, honestly, it was a mistake, I was lied to. And then there are the others who I prefer to call Brexiteers. Now the Brexiteers aren't just politicians, but they're also commentators, YouTubers, and of course that guy down the pub who seems to think he knows more about the WTO than the president of the WTO. Now, I don't know who created this graphic. It's amazing. I wanted to share it with you. It says here, so of course, did you vote leave or did you vote remain? If you voted remain, well, this shit show of Brexit is not your fault. But if you voted to leave the European Union, did you write lies on the side of a bus? Then it's your fault. That's of course related to the 350 million per week for the NHS that Boris Johnson promoted on the side of a bus. On to Boris Johnson once again. Did you lie about fish or bananas? Boris Johnson, of course, lying about kippers. Boris Johnson also lying about bendy bananas, but that's some time ago. That was one of the tropes that was used to say we need to leave the European Union because they're trying to straighten our bananas or something like that. Did you lie about sunlit uplands? Now, the sunlit uplands maybe is not a lie because if you consider the burning cars in Belfast that are lightening the sky, perhaps that's a sunlit upland. I don't know. Did you lie about an EU army? This is even still being used by Brexiteers as a lie to convince people, look, isn't it great that we're out? We're not going to be part of the EU army. That was never a requirement. And when the UK, of course, was a member, it had a veto. So it didn't have to join the EU army. Lie about Turkey. Boris Johnson is guilty of that, of course. Once again, we're getting to Boris Johnson is responsible here. Dislike hearing Polish people in Asda. This is an interesting one because many Brexiteers who were, in the run-up to the vote, who were asked on the street, both Brexiteers and Brexit voters, I should add, many of them said, look, I don't like listening to, foreign people in the supermarket or on public transport, which reminds me of a funny story of some people who said that they were angry with foreigners speaking their foreign language on public transport. On one occasion, it turned out that the people who were foreign, speaking the foreign language, were actually from Wales. Do you have a thing about sovereignty? Of course, this is, we need to take back our sovereignty, even though most Brexiteers don't understand what sovereignty means. Do you not understand the Good Friday Agreement? Even Brexit supporters and members of the DUP don't understand the Good Friday Agreement and think that Brexit has zero impact on the Good Friday Agreement. Next we have, you don't understand the common market, the customs union, or freedom of movement. Of course, in many cases, Brexiteers don't understand any of those. What's interesting about the freedom of movement one is that they wanted to end freedom of movement for people coming into the UK, not so much for it going out. And that's why we've seen so many stories of people suffering the consequences of the ending of freedom of movement when they're living in Spain, for example. Not understand the EU at all. Every Brexiteer has their own idea of what the EU actually is. Want to take back control of something, money, sovereignty, borders, fish. Then we have our money. Yes, we want to control our money, control our borders. The funny thing about a border is that there are two sides to every border. So you don't control the border on your side. The other people also control it on the other. And we're seeing the consequences of that. Control our laws. This was, of course, a big one for the Brexiteers. The idea that, we need to take back control. We need to take it away from unelected bureaucrats. Of course, the idea of unelected bureaucrats comes crashing down when you think of David Frost. Believe we held all the cards. I think it was Michael Gove who said this. Yes, we hold all the cards going into the negotiations. Believe they need us more than we need them. That's not just for the Brexiteers, but also some people maybe living in Spain. The easiest deal ever. I think it was Daniel Hannan who said that. So he's responsible also for Brexit. German car makers, of course, this was also expanded out to other groups like French cheesemakers or Italian wine producers who would, put pressure on their governments in order to put pressure on the European Union in order to give the UK a better deal. Because, the Brexiteers, both the commentators and the politicians, sold the public the idea that we can have our cake and we can eat it too. We can be outside the European Union, but because we're so important, businesses within the states that trade with us will put pressure on their governments in order to give us our cake and allow us to eat it at the same time. Just think about that for a moment. Can you think of any club or any organization where you can be outside it and have the same benefits as a member? Because if somebody can tell me and give me an example of such a club, I'd love to join it. Unchanged expats' rights in Spain, we've seen that, of course. And then, do you have a thing about flags? So the Brexiteers now suddenly have a huge passion for flags. So if any of these are, something that you pushed on to the public, convinced the public was a good idea or was going to be a way to solve any problems, well, this shit show is entirely your fault. So we can lay this at the door of Boris Johnson, at the feet of Michael Gove, and of course don't let Nigel Farage off the hook. So I thought this was quite fun. I wanted to share it with you. I don't know who produced it, but whoever it is, thanks a lot. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?